Guys, I'm so excited this evening. I'm so hyped up about Mr. Andile Ngaba's case against Dimension Data. In case you don't know about it, let me fill you up. So, Mr. Andile Ngaba is the former Director General of the Department of Communications. You would know him. He served under the late Dr. Ivy Matsipe Kasaburi. And then also, I think, I'm not sure if he completed his term with Minister Roy Parayachi. In fact, it's the late Mr. Roy Parayachi, apologies, and Mrs. Dr. Ivy Matsipe Kasaburi. And when he left there, he had a number of BE deals that he became part of. One of them was the Telkom, because he also had led the privatization, the semi-privatization of Telkom, and then also he joined Dimension Data. When he joined Dimension Data, he was made executive chairman, and he did a great job. Numbers tell us that as an overseer of DD which is the Dimension Data Middle East, Africa, and Asia, he took the division from 3 billion rands to 13 billion rands in the space of 12 years, which was from 2004 and to 2017. So he serves his time. He knows he's been brought there. Remember, when you brought in a company as a black professional, you're meant to bring silver bullets, and he dropped those silver bullets. Then 2016, there's an act that gets passed that forces the companies to disclose director pay. And he realizes that his juniors, his directors that were serving under him while he was executive chairman, were being paid one more than him, and they received bonuses. And that is what he is now suing them for. He's suing them for 441 million rands, which is the value that has been calculated by experts incorporating the systematic discrimination, the money, the numbers of discrepancies, and the bonuses that were earned, and obviously the difference between those numbers. And I congratulate him, because this is, for once, somebody is standing up for themselves against systematic racism in corporate South Africa. Because I usually say that Black South Africans, professionals, we are suffering in so many ways that nobody can ever begin to understand. And unfortunately, the biggest challenge for us is that we cannot be organized. Because remember, once you're a professional, you're a manager, you cannot join a union. So we can't be unionized, we can't mobilize ourselves. And so we are scattered and isolated. Whereas the people that are making us to suffer are so organized, in the sense that these are people that make decisions during braais over weekends and over dinner tables. By the time you get to the boardroom, it doesn't matter how much preparations you've done and facts that you've done and how competent you are and how excellent you are as a black person. The decisions were already made on the weekend, and all that is happening in the boardroom is to rubber stamp those decisions. And often the problem comes when you are now coming to challenge those decisions, and that is when the opposition becomes, and that is what will begin the worst season of your life, where you'll have to take energizers to stay awake and calming tranquilizers to sleep at night. So I'm glad that Mr. Andile Ngaba is fighting for himself, because when he's fighting for himself, he's fighting for all of us. And we've often been criticized as Africans that we doi, we don't follow proper structures to fight things. He is doing exactly that. And what I want to observe is how the High Court is going to handle this, because personally, I've lost faith in the CCMA. There's so many cases that have sat in the CCMA, and how many of Africans have won those cases? One, because they cannot even afford the lawyers that these companies go for, the best lawyers that are stacked up in Sandton, that are, they are being paid gallons and gallons to purge South African corporate of black professionals. And number two, because by the time you are sent on the disciplinary, you are lucky if you can have legal representation. But it's a one-way ticket, because the chairman and your boss and whoever is accusing you, they are all playing for the same team. And by the time you get into disciplinary, we know that there's usually a decision that has been done at corporate level to get rid of you. So we have suffered as Black Africans. And I understand that we need to start our own thing, so that we stop going with begging pals to white companies and asking them to share their shares with us, although we were part of building those companies. But what I like is that finally, if Andile wins this case, and I pray and we're going to support that he wins this case, he would have set precedent and he would have won and proven that there is systematic racism in South African corporate. And I really thank him for taking the bold move. I thank his team. I saw that he's just beefed up his team. He's just added Advocate Tembeka Ngcukaitobi as part of his legal counsel. So I have a lot of confidence. And I saw also, I think Mr. Advocate Dalimpof is also part of his legal counsel. So I have great levels of confidence in the case that he is going to win it. But this is a man who did great strides when he was part of the Department of Communications. That was when a lot of progressive bills were passed, like the convergence, data costs, the issuing of a lot of licenses we saw under his leadership during the time that he was with the Department of Communication. And so I know that had he still been with the department now, even things like digital migration, that would have happened long time ago. But that's a story for another day. So what I'm saying is that I know that this guy was competent because he's always been competent. He delivered. And so there was no excuse for him to be paid less than his subordinates, because that's what those people were. They were junior to him, they were his subordinates. But that just goes to show you. And my question is, if it could happen to Andile Ngcaba, as senior, as influential, as powerful, with all the money that he has, what more the black managers that are fighting for their livelihood to stay in jobs because they cannot afford to be out of jobs. And so thank you so much. And I'm hoping that we will be hearing very good results out of this case. And good night.